Last month, one of our clients spent $21,320 in their marketing and advertising and only brought in $19,250. Now, some CEOs over our last 15 years go into panic mode. They say kill the campaign, but here's what this client did. They actually turned that loss into $200,200 over the next 12 months. I'm Darrell Evans, and that's what we're going to break down in today's video. So I'm looking at these numbers for the last month for this particular client. And for context, this client has been with MindShift Digital now for a little over 2 years. So this isn't their first month. It's not even their best month. It's just a month, a pretty typical month at that. Now, last month, again, they spent $21,320 in ads. They collected $19,250 in cash revenue. So out of that came 11 clients. Now, if you're doing some quick math in your head, you might be thinking, Darrell, they actually spent more than they made. So that's actually a loss. Well, that's the trap that most business owners fall into when they look at marketing and advertising, because what those 11 clients or customers represent is a potential of $200,200 over the next 12 months. And that's factoring in a very aggressive 20% attrition rate. So I say potential because here's the reality. You know this, right? They still have to deliver. They still have to keep those clients happy, and they have to execute the promise that was made. But assuming they're going to do that, and they've been in business for a while, so they know what they're doing, they essentially invested $2,070 net to acquire $200,000 in first year customer value. Now, if you do the math, that's a 97x return on investment. But here's what fascinates me most about this. Most CEOs would actually look at that ad spend to revenue, spending more than you made in a given month, and say, you know what? We're in the red. This isn't working. We've done this month in, month out. And they would kill the very system that's actually working exactly as it should. Now, think about this for just a moment. If they repeat this behavior for the next 12 months, you're looking at approximately $2.4 million in revenue, customer value, or sales, however you want to term it, acquired over the year with a very similar investment pattern. And that's the power of having a system instead of random marketing tactics. You know, there's this guy named Peter Drucker. And if you went to business school anywhere in the last 10 to 20 years, you probably heard that name before. But if you hadn't gone to business school, you might not know his name. But he is considered the father of modern management. And he had something very interesting to say that I'm very privileged to have learned back in the 90s. And he said, because the purpose of business is to create a customer, the enterprise has two and only two basic functions: marketing and innovation. Marketing and innovation, he says, produces results. All the rest are costs. So let's think about that for a second. Marketing and innovation produce results. Everything else is a cost. But most companies treat marketing like it's the cost they need to minimize. How little can we spend so that we can get the most out of it? When the real question is, how much can we actually spend to acquire a customer profitably? Totally different mindset. And we've been helping companies at MindShift Digital now for 15 years with this equation. And I can tell you that the companies who win with marketing, the ones that actually scale predictably, profitably, they're the ones who have one thing in common. They know their numbers cold. There won't be one of these companies that's not crystal clear on all of their metrics that drive growth. Number two, they know exactly what a customer is worth, not just when they acquire the customer, but over the lifetime of that customer. And number three, they know exactly what they can afford to spend to acquire a customer, right? We're in the buying customers business, if you really think about it. And they understand that marketing is a system, not a magic pill. Let me be really clear about something. This client didn't hire us, spend $21,000 in the first month, and boom, everything became an instant result. That's not how it works. That's not how it works in life. That's not how it works in business. Again, I said this client's been with us for a couple of years. We've built a system together. We've tested. We've optimized. We have had refinements. We've had our ups and downs, don't get me wrong. And now we have this very predictable, profitable customer acquisition system. And let me be clear, it didn't take us 2 years to get here. I'm just describing 1 month, okay? The numbers I mentioned, the single month snapshot of this system has really been worked on for a couple of years. Now, The real marketing isn't about tricks. It's not about hacks. It's not about overnight wins. It's about building a system that works repeatedly, then optimizing it over time. You know what the hardest part of my job is? It's not the marketing execution, actually. That's actually the easy part. It's like asking Kobe Bryant if dribbling a basketball is hard. No, it's not hard. It's routine. When you've done it 10,000 times, it's just part of the deal. The hardest part is actually getting companies, great companies, seasoned companies, established companies to commit to actually doing this work and not just trying things, not throwing things against the wall, but real commitment. And here's something nobody wants to hear. If your marketing isn't working, it's probably not the tactics. It's probably not the strategy. It's probably not the social media posts or the blogs or the ads themselves. It's probably one of these three things. Number one, you just don't know your numbers as clear as you could. Number one, what is a customer worth to your business? Not just in the first year, not just in the first month, but over their lifetime. The second question that's really important to assess is what can you really afford to spend to acquire them? Most companies are flying blind in these categories, especially when we first come in and sit down with them. The second area that you want to think about is you're not treating marketing the way Drucker described it as one of the only two true functions of a business that produces results. You're treating it like an expense item on the P&L that you'd want to minimize instead of invest and optimize. And number three, you may still be looking at marketing as a magic pill. You might be wanting the marketing equivalent of lose 30 pounds in 30 days. But sustainable growth doesn't work that way. And I know you know that. There's always this thing that I see a lot, and that is in our industry, we call it the unconscious incompetence of business owners, CEOs, and even really strong executive leaders. And that unconscious incompetence it comes from the world of psychology. Companies don't know what they don't know. They think they understand marketing because they've run some Facebook ads or Google ads, or they hired an agency who wrote all these blog posts. Maybe they built a new website, but they don't understand the difference between random marketing tactics and a true system. And the funny thing is when they do run them, they have this attitude of let's see what happens. But when you have a system, you know what your customer acquisition cost is, you know what your lifetime value is, you know what that payback period is going to be, and we're systematizing and optimizing each part of your buyer's journey. These are completely different things. When we look at this client's result of a $200,000 gain over this year for just this 1 month on a $2,070 net investment, which could yield out if we repeat this month in, month out, and their sales team repeats it month in, month out, to $2.4 million, I'm actually not surprised. But I also know what it took to get here and what happened behind the scenes. And I'm purposely leaving out, with intention, what we did in the first 90 days, which is a little over 2 years ago, to prove that our model would help them grow their business, because it was full of 90-day, what we call 90-day quick wins, which we always find when we're working with a client. But it's not the thing that I want to highlight here, because growth works when we commit to building, testing, and refining a system, not just a bunch of tactics, which anyone can do over the first 90 days. The thing is, this company trusts the process, even when it wasn't working, even when it wasn't sexy, even when it wasn't instant, even when there was resistance in their team. Because here's what we've learned with working with hundreds and hundreds of companies now over the last 14 and a half, almost 15 years. The difference between businesses that scale and the ones that stay stuck usually isn't ideas or strategies or plans. It's not even generally what was done or the execution. It generally was one word, and it comes down to commitment. Companies that treat marketing as an expense to minimize what goes out will always struggle. Companies that treat marketing as a system, a la Peter Drucker, will obviously optimize and grow. And here's the crazy part. Once you commit to building a system like this, everything does get easier. You stop freaking out about what happened last month, right? You stop freaking out about what happened last week. You stop asking for daily updates, which is just unbelievable. You start obsessing, though, over month to month. What's the cost to acquire a customer? What's our payback period looking like? You make better decisions because you're looking at the right metrics. And we always say that it's important to measure what matters most. I'm reviewing results like this all the time, not just the numbers, though the numbers are cool. But it's really the transformation of what a company is doing and what had to happen behind the scenes, not just in these numbers. The CEO had to shift from trying things, sort of throwing things against the wall, to committing to a system. The marketing director had to fight and be patient and let the system work. The sales team had to adapt to selling to a new type of lead that wasn't a referral and didn't come from word of mouth. That takes real work. The marketing is just the vehicle. Now, I mentioned earlier that those 11 clients worth roughly $200,000, and that's an important distinction. Marketing can, done well, bring you customers, should bring you customers, but you still have to deliver. You still have to have great execution. You still have to have a great reputation in the marketplace. You still have to keep them happy and retain them so you can really maximize all of that. Sometimes companies blame marketing when they experience high churn. They say these leads weren't good clients, these leads weren't good quality, but often the leads were just fine. They just weren't ready to buy when you wanted to sell them, or you weren't prepared to sell to this new modern era of buyer. Sometimes your delivery has to change to make your marketing work. And that's a whole other conversation for another video. But my point is marketing gets you the customer when done right, and everything else is on you. All right. So here's my challenge for you as we wrap this video up. I want you to think about and/or sit down, set aside some time and pull up your numbers. Actually look at them. Do the math. Not just your revenue, not just your expenses, not just your profit, but let's look at your customer acquisition value. Let's look at your lifetime value. Look at your payback period. And if you don't know these numbers, it's time to figure them out because you can't optimize what you can't measure. And if you're measuring the wrong things, marketing will always seem like it's not working. And if you realize that you've been treating marketing in any kind of way like it's just an expense to minimize versus building a system to optimize and grow, then maybe it's time for you to have a conversation with MindShift Digital. That's it for today. And if this resonated at all with you, please feel free to drop a comment or a question down below if you're watching this on YouTube, and send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram if you'd like to chat about this further. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about and how this landed for you. So listen, if you are not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss our next episode. And if you're new here, we have curated what we call our Growth Starter playlist, which you can either find in the description or just click on the channel and head over to playlist. It'll get you deeper into how we think about growth. And I just want to take a second and thank you for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Oh, and one more thing. If you're sitting there thinking, man, I wish I really knew my numbers like this, and you don't have anyone in your corner to get you these numbers and get you clarity on this, maybe you're thinking, I do need a marketing system, then we do have some spots open on our calendar this week. There's no hard pitch. There's no pressure, just an open conversation for 30 minutes for us to talk about where you are and where you'd like to be. If that sounds of interest to you, there should be a link down below. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Hey, thanks for watching. We know you could be anywhere on the internet and you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate that. We've got some more free stuff somewhere around here or down in the description below. We'd love to have you in our community. Talk to you soon.